Who's coming on exactly then?
You?
Just me?
No, Danny's supposed to be coming.
Oh, if you can find him, yeah.
He's in the toilet.
Oh,
Last
right.
time I saw it.
And Mark, and Mark's coming as well.
Oh, yeah, Mark,
Well, it
yeah.
was last time.
Yeah, Mark's gone in the toilet. They're probably going to have a...
Take drugs.
Yeah. Well,
That was a joke.
Well, yeah. You have to face this one.
I don't like anything.
You do, your timing, mate, you're late.
Right, guys.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Here we've got the red dwarf mob. We've got Mark, Norman, and Danny. Right.
I've got to watch this guy's performance.
I'm just.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Yeah, what's wrong with this man?
I've seen all of yours, Norman, and I think you're great.
Yes, you're quite right.
One of the more classic executions of a Red Dwarf character.
Oh.
The two Rimmer. Rimmer and his brother.
It's a good idea, it's a great
man.
idea. I'll have to watch it, I'll have to find series 10.
Did anyone else see that episode?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Thumbs up.
Very funny.
Lemons was good, wasn't it? Did you know Lemons? Yeah. And one of my favourites out of the new lot is the Twentiker. Oh, look, he just went.
It was like a movie. I saw that one the other day.
Yeah.
I like the way going back in time. Like that.
Studio floor and all of that.
And that actress who played the comedian, she was brilliant, wasn't she?
She does a
Lucy Pole.
Yeah, she does a one-woman show.
Yeah, she's a stand-up.
Oh, she's very new waterbill.
Standing there, being made redundant. He's got all his questions.
And doesn't
I
know about
just think I'll just let these guys just carry on, shall we?
You might as well go home.
Yeah, right.
Well, you see, that was the secret of
We
Michael
just talked.
Parkinson.
We just
Very
talked.
few questions easy to get them all talking.
No, get him talking about his dad, their dads first. So tell me about your father.
And then they let them rant on. And then he'd just go, okay, moving on. And
Take the check.
Michael Parkinson. That's how you interview people.
Well, Graham Norton's bloody good. He's one of the most successful chat show hosts ever. And I did stand up with him in the early days, and he's exactly the same then as he is now.
And he still hasn't invited Norm on his show.
No,
That just shows you, get rich and switch.
it's all the New York stars go on it. They queue up to go on that, don't they?
Yeah, but he's got short memory, Norm.
No, the thing is, you've got to have something new.
I've got nothing to plug.
Although rumour has it you do have something, might be popping up in a certain series.
Yeah, what, like the last episode of this current series?
Oh.
I feel like I led you into that, and I do apologise.
Right, guys, have we got any questions since these are quite happily chatting away?
He doesn't like Red Dwarf.
Right, guys,
Superman t-shirt on Norm.
I was doing signings with Wonder Woman's stand-in a couple of weeks ago at Elstree. So, what a game, eh?
Stand in what?
She was a body double, yeah.
Stunt double.
Would you prefer the real thing?
Well, when she put her costume on in the afternoon,
It pretty much was.
I was very impressed.
It's funny how that lingers in the memory, isn't it?
She was right. I thought I must watch the film.
Women in tight lycra suits, Norm.
It's disgusting. Harvey Weinstein had nothing to do with that film, I don't think.
He's never done a sci-fi film in his life.
I went down a corridor once and he came towards me and he sort of he was looking at me, didn't say anything. We don't need that, do we?
No, we actually project, darling.
Well, I can speak for yourself. There he is, he's got his job out of it. He keeps seeing himself in the mirror, he loves it.
Don't give up hope, but ask us a question.
I'm not giving up hope at all. It's actually quite interesting to see you guys just chatting away. We've done this before.
We've always bantered away all the time, really.
You should see lunchtime. It's mad.
Yeah, crazy.
You'd have to play Mark up with it as well.
No, he came in flying colours, mate.
But the thing with
Mr. Step.
Jonathan Ross,
We weren't talking about Jonathan Ross.
He's lost his stuff because Jonathan Ross is a bit full of himself, I think.
He's got a new series. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but he likes to talk about himself. He does that when his technique of asking questions. You mustn't talk about yourself. It's not to do with you. It's to do with the guests. You've got to bring the best out of your guests. So, but he seems to have done all right. As a career, Jonathan Ross. He seems to have plodded along.
Well, I mean, after his last contract, I mean, it wouldn't matter what he earns, is it? I mean, what was it, 18 million for 3 years?
Oh,
that was his last BBC contract.
It's just disgusting. Money in football as well, and yet Huddersfield went and beat Manchester United.
Hey,
brilliant.
Lovely.
What's that got to do with money?
Chelsea came back and won 4-2.
Yeah, I know. I was upset about that. I'm an Ipswich Town and Arsenal supporter. You can have two teams. Once you get to 60, you can have two teams. Remember that.
He really supports Colchester, but I don't like him in Essex.
I was at the match when Colchester beat Leeds United. I was at that match. It was brilliant. That was wonderful. It was a cup game. Brilliant. People were dancing in the streets. Don't ask me the year.
What about Leeds Chelsea FA Cup?
What happened there?
Chelsea beat the best team in the world at the time.
Oh right. Yeah.
Leeds United team.
Yeah.
They were the
right. Yeah.
Come on, wake up, wake up.
The women are falling asleep.
They came in to talk about sci-fi.
Bloody football.
Anyone got a Red Dwarf question?
Yeah.
Hang on, here we go.
Go on.
So, Danny, I guess I have to ask, did you read the Identity Within script?
Did I read it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've still got it, mate. I've got it, but that was written by Kim Fuller, who was who wrote Lenny's Delbert Hawkins, and is the brother of Simon Fuller.
What was the question? I didn't hear the question.
Identity Within was a cat episode that was written by Kim Fuller, from Free of a Kind and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
But his brother's Simon Fuller, who of Pop Idol fame, and he wrote the script.
I didn't know that.
Did you know? Yeah, he's got Identity Within. It was kind of. It starts off as like a James Bond thing, the cat going through and it's Dwayne showing him how to be cool, like it had to be Bond.
Is there any suing taking place?
Well,
that's the thing. I mean, nothing's new. Do you know what I mean? Everything's been done before.
yeah.
So as soon as someone gets successful,
okay, what was before Bond? Like, what was the main sort of secret agent before Bond? The Saint.
The Saint, yeah, and he was
Simon Templar.
And Simon Templar,
Right,
did the gig.
But and funny, he did end up playing.
Yeah, he did the gig. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And a second follow-up question.
This is really good stuff,
I've
isn't
got to ask, how did Can of Worms compare then?
You got the microphone.
How did Can of Worms compare to Identity Within? Completely different. It would have been an expensive episode to film. That's pretty much why, you're talking about way back BBC Northwest budget. I mean, when we were pretty much making the show in the same studio as Question and Sport. It was about as big as this room here, our studio in Manchester. Yeah. So it was. The idea was that the Midland Hotel would have been his bedroom, the reception there with the big chandelier would have been his bedroom, so just that scene alone would have been the whole budget.
That studio's, it doesn't exist anymore, don't you? The one in Manchester, did you know that? It's all been pulled down.
Yeah, the building doesn't exist anymore.
It's like
where
a
we
car
make
park, and there should be a plaque there, shouldn't there?
Norm was here.
Yeah. Just for me, obviously, yeah. And it's the same with the Tube in Newcastle, that studio where they did the Tube. That's gone as well.
Classic show, that.
Yeah, it was a good show, yeah.
Next question.
Okay. How was it for you wearing the same makeup that Ron away week after week?
Well, there is actually there is a photo of me as Crichton with one of Robert's masks on, actually. actually that's already out in the public domain. That was when we did series 10.
How long did that take, by the way, that little makeup job?
That was about, I reckon, about 2 hours. I mean, when I think of Robert Llewellyn, when he first did the Crichton Mask, it used to take 6 hours.
Well, I remember when we did the first episode of Series 10, it was the first Dave show.
Yeah.
And the makeup team for that were new.
Oh God.
And they hadn't put Robert in his makeup
mask
before.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming in one day in rehearsals with his eyes just red, completely raw, and I had to basically send him home at one stage. We were debating with it because he was just in absolute agony. It wasn't working.
No.
They had to get some advice from the previous BBC crew, because otherwise he was going to die or something.
Well, yeah, because what happens is the glue, the eyes have to be glued all around, and then the head itself is literally glued to his head.
Yeah, it was the eyes that were having trouble with.
But taking it off is just, I mean, when you see him taking it off, you just think, oh, I don't want to do that. And then we did, of course. But yeah, no, I had done that before. It was a joke. I must find that photo actually, because you can see the difference because it doesn't fit me because it was made for Robert. But you can actually see it has been scraped my colour and all. But it just doesn't fit. But it's funny still that, what's it? It's sort of 7 years later. When was Series 10? Was that?
That's 5 now, apparently. I keep getting reminded it's 5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago, so yeah. Well, 5 years later, I actually got to wear the real thing.
And it's 30 years next year that we first did Red Dwarf. Yeah. I was 41.
You were 41?
I was 41 and Craig was 23.
I was 7.
I'm pleading the 5th.
Dan was...
What were you? Younger than you, no?
30?
No, I was younger than that. I was 27. 27.
Yeah. And was Chris?
Chris was 28.
28, yeah.
Was he really? I can't imagine Chris ever being 28.
Nor could we actually, even though we saw it. It's still up. It's still up.
It's something you do get.
But he was very different. I mean, Chris in 1987, of course, Chris walked in with his briefcase and his mobile phone. In 1987. So we've never seen a mobile phone. We've never seen Chris walk out yesterday. He'd be coming home. He'd come to rehearsal having done a voiceover in town.
Yeah.
Like 8
in his Jag.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. What time are we finishing, Paul? Yeah, 8. Yeah, I'll be there at 6. And he'd be on the next voiceover on the way. Yeah, wouldn't it?
Did you want to hit him?
We all wanted to kill him.
So nothing's changed there.
Smug git.
He's a smashing bloke, actually. He's funny though.
He is funny.
To see him now with his cap on.
I know he is. He's turned into that
his
real
corduroys
Rimmer.
and everything.
He is actually Rimmer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got like Rimmer.
He's got the Harris tweed on, the blue, disc. Is it Land Rover?
Or a teacher, a teacher.
He's got the blue,
And Robert's a bit like a teacher as well.
And he plods along down the motorway, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And if Chris sees you, he's driving his Land Rover. You go past in your, whatever it is you got at that time, MG. Chris will just go.
It's weird
when you drive past him anywhere, it's just.
The only reason I got involved with the show is because God, in His infinite wisdom, decided on the day of my birth that I would grow up to resemble Chris Barrie, and I don't know how I feel about that, really.
Well, it's one of those images you'll never get away from. I said that to Julian Ryder. He was the commentator of Eurosport MotoGP.
Oh, right.
And I went to a race, and somehow I ended up on the grid, and apparently he was up in the commentary box saying, "Hold on a minute. Was Danny and Jules walking down the grid?" And he goes, "But no, they bought me Red Dwarf DVDs," and he ended up getting a part in the Shane played the bus driver with Senior Chris. And I said to him, "I go, do you realise that your life's going to change now because people will forever come up to you and talk about Red Dwarf?" And it's sort of anyway, about 6 months later when it came out, of course, Julie was going, "Dad, I can't tell you, mate. I haven't stopped talking about Red Dwarf for months."
Cult shows will do that.
So Chris Barrie had that look-alike with the manager of rugby manager. Do you remember him? of the England side.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a lookalike. Does anyone remember that? What was his name?
There's another poor unfortunate creature who also resembles
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Barrie.
I mean, that was Chris Barrie.
There's a little bit Pardew about him.
Yeah, there is.
There's a little bit of
Pardew.
Pardew.
Yeah.
He looks like a younger version of Wenger as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like me getting. I get compared with
There's another question.
There's a man over there.
lots of film
How much
stars.
ad-libbing did you used to do off the script?
Well,
None.
you just said how much you don't hear.
No, he'll tell you as a guest artist who's got no reference to deal with.
Yeah, there is no ad-libbing. It's all.
There is no ad-libbing in Red Dwarf. Never has been. Never.
You have to have it.
That
right.
would have to be inserted during the rehearsal period as.
Yeah, if you did come up with something,
Yeah.
say, yeah, we'll film that again with that line in.
Yeah.
You know.
It has to have Doug's approval.
Because the cameras know exactly where to go because they know the script.
But you
and what
couldn't
they're gonna
ad-lib
say,
because
you know.
you've got 5 cameras and every line is camera scripted.
Yeah.
So if you ad-libbed, the camera's not looking at you. If you ad-lib there, the camera's looking over there at him or whoever. So you'd miss the line anyway.
Apart from me, who's just got one camera
He's got on camera completely
and hidden away.
But even he, if anyone could ad-lib, it would be
It would be
North.
me, yeah.
There are things said which shouldn't have been said, but they're known as smeg-ups.
Yes. Or for the adult version, beginning with a C.
You seem to have so much fun doing it.
I had a big, well, not an argument, I had a big debate about it in Australia, and there was a lady there, and she just didn't want to take it as gospel that we didn't ad-lib. She was absolutely insisting that we ad-libbed because, like, a script couldn't be that.
Because you all do it so naturally.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, it is a case of Doug's writing. It's great because it does sound like banter and it does sound like.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's brilliant acting. But it's good that the writing, it all works well. And
the magic word is ensemble.
Yeah, there is a. there's
When you've got a script that drives
yeah.
along like that, if you had a star and 4 other actors, it wouldn't have the same. It wouldn't have the same drive.
No.
Because even the actors, you end up sort of, pacifying more than acting. You know what I mean? So what we have on Red Dwarf is great because it doesn't matter if you come on with one line, everybody respects the line and the person who's got to say it, and they eat and drink with us, and there's no kind of them and us within the cast or within the crew. It's just
no one's better than anybody else.
Nobody on our show is elevated to anything except what they've got to do.
I think the live audience aspect adds to that sense of you're just doing it on the hoof as well. There's not that many shows these days that are made in front of live audiences anymore. And
they are there to witness that camaraderie because what happens is when they shout cut, a whole nother show starts.
It's what you don't see.
What happens between cuts?
But I mean that's where the smeg-ups come in.
I suppose
because some of the
stuff
stuff that says when the camera says cut, you couldn't even put that on a DVD. Even if it had parental guidance and all, you couldn't put it on there.
It's Mrs. Brown's the only one I think that it's not my cup of tea, that thing, but I do admire. I can see why it succeeds. It has that.
Well, we've been struggling for sitcoms for some years in the UK. I mean, in the 70s, we had a choice of any week you had a choice of 20 sitcoms to watch.
All live audiences.
All live audience from Monday to Sunday.
20
at least.
Well, I don't think it's ever been that high.
What, are you kidding me? In the 70s? You mad?
How many? Yeah, but that were worth watching.
Yes. All right, name anyone name a 1970s sitcom.
Porridge.
40 Towers.
40 Towers. Man About the House. Come on, Norm, where's these shit?
Three, that's 3.
Yeah, okay. And Mother Makes 3.
I wish I'd Terry and Jules,
Butterflies. George and Mildred.
So the Man are Born.
Rising Damp, The Man of Born.
The Good Life.
I mean, we could go on forever, man. We could go on forever. We can't find a decent sitcom. If we could, we wouldn't be working after 30 years. No, really, would we still be making a show 30 years later if they had the kind of quantity of sitcoms that were out in the 70s? No, we wouldn't. We would not be making this now if we had that kind of competition, because the audience then gets spread amongst all those.
Although live audience comedy in space is quite a niche. Terry and June, for all its plus points, was terra firma based.
But do you know what? Can you imagine them arriving on Red Dwarf? Can you imagine? I can see Rimmer sort of starting to go in step with the music now.
I love the idea of Rimmer being a Terry and June fan.
Can you imagine him sitting between that? Now listen here.
When was on the buses?
Sort of 60s,
That was on the buses.
On the buses, Reg Barney.
I watched that. I
Reg
remember
Barney.
watching that. That's quite funny.
I mean,
But, you know, Back
we
to
were
Earth.
spoiled.
Back to Earth tells you about Red Dwarf. You know, it shouldn't be on Earth. It's a sitcom in space. And Back to Earth didn't quite, you know, that was crazy, wasn't it? But they'd been thrown out of the BBC then. It was very low budget. Doug was on his own doing everything. And,
Yeah, it was the first time that Doug had written on his own.
so it was a... Well, it wasn't.
Well, no,
Was
but
it?
you know, in the
Seventh
new
and
guys,
eighth.
it's
Yeah.
a tough.
He's-
To have 10 years off,
You've got to take your hat off to Doug for what he's done.
to have 10 years off and then just to
He's
go back.
terrific. And Doug did a comicon last week at Stoke.
His
Yeah.
first.
And he loved it. He loved it. He was signing.
He'll be
coming
back.
round. He'll be back. He'll be doing them again.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we had guest stars in, as I said, from those 70s shows, and we would go all wobbly. I mean, I remember when Don Warrington came on from Rising Down, and we was all
Oh,
going,
yeah,
it's Don.
He's a nice man. I met him.
He was great.
Really
It's
nice,
great.
yeah. Nice.
But it was a very funny scene as well with Craig.
Was that Holland?
Lister to Red Dwarf.
Yeah,
That's classic.
it is. Brilliant scene.
And Don, you know, it was just too funny.
He's got a great voice. hasn't
His
he?
voice and then the Hollywood gag was just.
Yeah.
It's just he's totally blissfully unaware that we've got a good old
Sturdy Hollywood.
in-
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Any more?
Oh, we're done. Oh, we're one more
Hold on, we
question.
got
Two more questions.
Hold on a
Two
minute.
ladies.
Well, actually, I do have a double question.
Double Polaroid.
Part. One, are you a cat person yourself? Do you like cats?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The other thing is, I was recently asked to sing as a cat. And I did so on an album, and I was trying to figure out how a cat would sing. So I kind of thought...
You know what? That's easily answered.
Yeah. So do you? But when you started playing the cat, was there a person or a specific cat that you looked at?
Well, all of the references of the cat were taken from singers.
James
I mean, it was James Brown, Prince, Little Richard, Cab Calloway.
Yeah.
If you look at that, Screaming Jay Hawkins. You know, he was the guy that...
Bit of me as
yeah,
well.
bit of Norm, yeah. Well, Screaming Jay Hawkins he preceded Alice Cooper. This guy, you know, he started his show coming out of a coffin with a skull, you know, and with the zebra skin coats and all of that. That was... so you had Chuck Berry. If you look at all those guys, you'll see they're very catty, bit wild, bit crazy, always baggy zoot suits and... You know, Little Richard with the pink Cadillac and the pink suit and all of that stuff. They were all from singers, mostly. And the only other person that, you know, was the facial expressions was pretty much Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
And the rhythm of the character, you know, how he spoke was pretty much, you know, Richard Pryor because, you know, but Richard Pryor, the facial expressions and the delivery was. But I stole from the best, which is smart, really.
It's what we all do.
I think
You steal from the best. I've got no qualms of stealing from those guys.
everybody, you're influenced by other people. It's part of how you grow up.
Well,
you know,
I mean,
like
who could? There was no reference for the cat. I mean, I was sitting there going, "What? You know, what do you do with this?" Like, and you know, those are the things that came into my head pretty much. Was,
and being a dancer as well.
Yeah, it helped a lot.
You know, that helped a lot.
But
for
you
the
know,
character.
when Eartha Kitt did.
Oh yeah, she's a cat. Yeah.
I mean, you know, that singing. If I was going to go for a female, I'd go for Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much why she got the gig, because she could do that amazing stuff.
Great voice.
I mean, yeah. And Orson Welles was a bit of a fan of hers.
Right, but one last question then. At the back.
Do you feel like your character personalities are similar or different to your own personalities? Your character personalities, do you feel like they were similar or different to your own?
I think yes, because you know the flamboyancy. You know, you got to remember. I was at the time of auditioning for Red Dwarf. I was in I think it was my 6th West End show. I mean, Mr. Flamboyant and Mr. Lovey-Dovey and everything. And that kind of mode that I was in at that time, when I went to the audition, I was kind of in musical theatre mode. And so it was pretty much, you know, get any West End lovey to go in a room and do like half a page talking to yourself, no problem. I mean, we do that in the dressing room. So, you know, I was in that mode. And when I got the job, I ended up doing Red Dwarf during the day and flying to the theatre at night at the Dominion to go and sometimes do a duet with Cliff Richard.
Did you fly?
Well, flying meaning...
Helicopter?
No.
And Norman, are you anything like Holly?
Yeah, I suppose a bit deadpanish, but I mean, I think the writers...
The writers used to watch us.
Got to know us.
They used to watch
spent
us.
a long time with
and
us.
you'd read the script and go, hold on, Norman did that yesterday.
Yeah, you'd get...
And there was that bit where Lister, he squirts the ketchup on the table and dips the sausage in it. Yeah, he did stuff like that in the restaurant. That's why the BBC didn't want us in there. Because we'd be in the BBC's restaurant, and you know, Craig Charles having lunch is a spectacle to be seen. And that's why Lister has all these mad food jokes and, you know, curries, but that is him.
That's him, yeah. I mean, lots of truth from our real characters.
And I played a member of the Rimmer family. The Rimmer family are all gits, so yes, I'm exactly the same.
Yes.
I mean, it's the same with Chris. The way he walks like he's an officer as well.
That's Chris. He
does have that military bearing.
Yeah.
But his father was the military man. His father was a colonel in the army.
He was raised on army bases.
He was on the army base, Northern Ireland. You know, a lot of people don't realise that. You know, Chris grew up in Northern Ireland.
And he walks naturally like that. That's what I mean. The guy's basically Rambo.
Well, the thing is though that Chris's dad was, you know, he was a short guy, you know, the moustache. With the wooden, you know, he's always a small guy, isn't it? Beating the hell out of the squadrons, you know. He's always looking up at them. Now listen here, Milado. So you can, you know, all that Milados.
And the same with Britus as well. There's a lot of Britus about him.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he's not here today.
I tell him you're just rimmery Britus, you know, you've turned into him.
But he is the guy, you know, and there's nothing more that Chris likes than to be proved right. So, I mean, we were on our way to Wrexham for a convention, and I was in a smart car. I had no idea it didn't have a spare wheel, right? So I had a puncture. So I knew the only person going was Chris, so I phoned, Chris, where are you? And he goes, I'm on the A3, blah, blah. I went, oh, good, so that's the road I'm on. So have you passed the Shell station yet? Yeah, I'm about 10 miles down the road. I said, Chris, you've got to turn around and pick me up. I'm stranded. And then I had to wait there with him driving up with that smile on his face. You will buy this rubbish. You know, and I just drive for the next 20 miles while, Dan, get yourself a decent car. British, son, you know, Land Rover.
He's a good old boy.
He is funny though, but you know, again, you know, it's one of those ones. I was just sitting looking out the window like this. I do have a photo on my phone of me with Chris in the car at that time.
Right, thank you guys. We'll have a good